Today we're making a Scottish Dundee cake. This is a favorite for tea time, enjoyed by Sir Winston Churchill and Queen Elizabeth II. I'm making it to celebrate Robert Burns' birthday. So, before you can get this, you have to start with some wonderful ingredients. I like to start by getting all my ingredients together so I'm all set to go. So you're going to start with a 3/4 cup of unsalted butter, softened at room temperature, and I have this out to kind of warm up from the refrigerator. You want a cup of firmly packed light brown sugar, 3 large eggs. Here I'm using the jumbo brown eggs because that's what I prefer. The zest of 1 orange, and I've already zested it. It was from an orange like this one. 5 tablespoons of Seville orange marmalade, and I'm using the Mackay's Dundee orange marmalade. 1.5 cups of all-purpose flour. In my case, I use the gluten-free Bob's Red Mill 1-to-1 baking flour. It's a blend of all the things you need to have a successful gluten-free flour. 1 tablespoon of baking powder and a 1/2 teaspoon of salt that I put together here, and 1/3 cup of almond flour. This is again Bob's Red Mill gluten-free almond flour. And then we get to the fruit, and this is very important. You want a whole 1.25 cups of regular sun-made California raisins, and a similar amount, 1.25 cups of the sun-made golden raisins, also called sultanas. And finally, you will need some Marcona almonds. These are the bleached whole Marcona almonds that'll decorate the top of the cake. And now comes the fun part, the real work, the mixing. So we're creaming the butter with the sugar, the brown sugar, so it's light and fluffy. Now I'm going to add the eggs one at a time. Teaspoon of flour to prevent curdling. Hopefully this will work. And now I'm going to scrape down the sides one more time and add the orange zest and the marmalade and beat until combined. So here's my zest. It smells delicious. Nothing like a fresh orange. And the marmalade. Ooh, good stuff. Dundee marmalade. So now we'll mix together the dry ingredients, and we'll start with the all-purpose gluten-free flour. That's 1.5 cups. And we'll add the mixture of salt and baking powder that I put together before, and the 1/3 cup of almond flour. Just mix these together. I think that's pretty good. And now we're going to add this to the wet ingredients and stir it gently to combine. So I'm going to add it, stir it gently. So we don't use the electric mixer at this point. I'm doing it with just a plain old mixing spoon. Want to make sure it's well combined. before we go to the next step. So we'll keep mixing this. Okay, now we get to add the fruit. This really makes it a wonderful cake here. That is the regular raisins, and that's 1.25 cups, and 1.25 cups of the sultanas, the golden raisins is 1 cup and 1/4. It's so helpful to have all this pre-measured. And now we're going to stir it, make sure it all gets mixed up together. My mother would say this is a fruit cake, and it is. It's kind of a fruit and marmalade and orange zest and almond flour. Good stuff. Next, you'll want to get your cake pan ready. And I happen to have a nice oven-proof Corningware type pan. It's a kind of a porcelain pan. And it is 8 inches in diameter, which is what the recipe calls for. I spray it with a cooking spray so your cake won't stick. And then I line the bottom with parchment baking paper. And I cut out a nice round bottom here by tracing around the sides of my pan, and then cut out the circle and put it in the bottom. And finally, while you're mixing up your cake, you will want to preheat your oven. And I've got mine preheated right now. It's reached 100 degrees, but it's going to go up to 300. That's what I've asked for. Okay, now we have it all mixed. We're going to put it in the prepared cake pan. Ooh. Try to put it in evenly, because this is real thick and it'll be hard to move around. And I'm going to need a spatula to get all this out of here. So let me grab a spatula. I don't like to waste any of this good stuff. Okay, now we're going to take a wet spoon and, whoops, let's get this off the spoon. Okay, now we're going to take a wet spoon and kind of smooth the top. We want a nice, even top so we can put our almonds on it, our Marcona almonds. There we go, that's looking good. That looks pretty good. Now, this is where we put the almonds on, and arrange them on the top in a concentric circle. Well, I found last time I made this I wanted more almonds, so I'll see what I can do here. Okay, I think that's good. And now, into the oven. The oven is all preheated at 300 degrees Fahrenheit. I'm going to put it right in the center there. And we're good for 1 hour and 40 minutes, or maybe 2 hours. We'll have to see. Okay, I checked the cake earlier. It wasn't quite done, so I gave it the full 2 hours. So now I'm going to take it out of the oven and check it again. Now you notice I have tin foil on it, or aluminum foil. That's because I think it was browning a little quicker than I wanted it to. So the instructions are to cover it with foil to keep it from browning too quickly. So here we have the cake. Oh, it looks wonderful. I'm gonna just test it one more time. Make sure that it's done with a toothpick. Yeah, I think so. That's 2 hours. So now it has to cool for 10 minutes before I take it out of the pan and cool it just on the wire rack. Okay, our Dundee cake has cooled sufficiently. I've actually let it cool for a couple hours. And now I'm going to try to get it out of this intact. And what I'm going to do is just run a knife along the edge. I had this pan greased, but you know, want to make sure it's going to come out easily. So just run this along the edge. Looks like it's loosening up nicely. And hopefully do a little flip here. Aha! And the paper stayed in there. Okay, so now I'm going to follow the instructions, which were to let it cool on the wire rack, because I can still feel it's a little warm right now. There we have the cake. And it's going to cool now. I want it completely cool before I try to store it or do anything further with it.